Well, hello, that's me again, and I wanted to discuss today a couple of items which I think are important, but let's start with what many people again talk a lot. And I want to remind you that at this stage, especially of this activated mass hysteria in US media and in Western media, which literally are already at war and, create some absolutely alternative reality about the Russia just getting ready to invade Ukraine, which obviously Russia doesn't even need and doesn't want. Obviously, the situation is actually quite opposite, 180-degree opposite, but again, knowing what Western media are and who works there, I doubt there are many people with integrity there, and let alone professionalism. Journalism is not a valid profession, honestly, and it is Ukraine which is concentrating significant forces on the contact line between Ukraine and LDNR republics, but the obviously United States is that desperately needs this war. And yeah, media, American media especially, they are full-blown 24/7 news cycle, pretending that Russia is about to invade Ukraine. So, while it's actually other way around, because the United States needs Ukraine to commit suicide. So we'll see where it all goes, but yeah, the way the Western media, quote-unquote free media, which are basically prostitutes, most of them there, operate is that they really project, it's a psychological thing, they project what the West is about to commit and do onto somebody else. And at this stage we entered this phase of he said, she said, and, for example, they claim something, Russia basically denies it or debunks it, and that will continue for a long time. But here's what is the part of the news today, and as a number of the media outlets report, White House discusses plans to send up to 50,000 troops to Eastern Europe. And of course, people immediately begin to really worry about all that and like, oh my God, they will send 50,000 troops into whatever, Poland, Romania, and something near Ukraine. You need to understand again, and that's what I'm trying to constantly stress. It's done for people and to impress people who really do not understand what is going on, because pretty much all military policies and all wars West conducts are done for PR purposes. Honestly, I'm beginning to think that those people don't even know how to prosecute a good war. And I'm not the only one. Tucker Carlson, a couple of days ago, stated he basically committed a blasphemy by stating, guys, these are the people who lost every war they ever fought, and they want us to go into the war around Ukraine. No, they don't want to go. Tucker is correct, of course, but the point is they don't want to go to the war. I mean, there are still some professionals left in Pentagon, despite the fact of being infested with the political science majors and lawyers, but point is they understand the balance of power and they at least can grasp what the continuous fire impact into the operational depth means. So, and that's what is the most important part. Yeah, United States can theoretically send 50,000 troops and redeploy them, kind of smear them over into the, Baltic states, Poland, and Romania. But even those 50,000 troops, to concentrate and to kind of shake them down and to make them capable of conducting any kind of battle, it requires a very long time. I mean, we're talking about, in this particular case, months. And it's not just that you place those guys on the prepositioning vessels of the mighty, Strategic Sea Lift Command, or whatever it is, new title. They change those titles all the time. It can deliver those troops definitely to the ports of Europe, which is still not at war in Russia with Russia, and yeah, they can start rolling them, and then they bring them through means by rail or by trucks or what have you, to whatever the prepositioning places, locations they have in Poland and Romania, for example. But of course, even if it's 50,000 troops, it means absolutely nothing, relatively speaking, because if the war with Russia happens, and I don't think so, it's that probable, but hey, let's imagine that, those 50,000 will not survive for a long time. And again, you have to understand, modern war, if I see you, I'll kill you. And Russia sees all, because Russia has one of the best, if not the best, ISR complex, its intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, which have a massive space assets and other means of the electronic surveillance, which allow to track and develop the firing solution against any type of force. And you have to understand, you cannot spread and smear, let's say, 200 M1, M whatever, M1, 2 whatever Abrams tanks. They will have to be stationed somewhere. Considering the fact that actually the air defense of the NATO armies, and I've been on that for a long time, is non-existent in any operational sense. I mean, I'm not talking about SHORAD, it's basically several Stingers stuck on the top of the Hammer vehicles, Humvee vehicles. This is not serious. I mean, you cannot defend, even THAAD is not going to work for either salvo of the cruise missiles or the salvo of Iskanders, let alone. There is nothing which can intercept anything there. And yeah, Russia can provide several waves of those things until the basically rear is completely destroyed and the troops and the preposition areas, stores and depots and everything are just completely obliterated, and yeah, just go fight after that. But at this stage, they even speak about even lesser number. They speak about 5,000. Okay, what is even 5,000? It's not even serious, I mean. So it's all done for PR. It's all done to pretend that NATO supports, this democratic Ukraine, which is concentrating now indeed troops at the contact line between LDNR and Ukraine. But it's all basically gestures. It's all to show that West matters. It is all to pretend that Russia is the aggressor, and now this stupid thing about U.S. diplomats' families ordered to evacuate from Kiev, while Europeans, they don't evacuate anybody. Well, Europeans have a little bit better idea, obviously, but considering the fact who also runs them, it doesn't really matter if they understand or don't. It's for the lapdogs, it's just their role to follow the big guy, and if United States tells them to jump, they will ask how high. So, but that's the situation. In reality, of course, Ukraine is desperate not to go to war, but United States presses it to go to war because, first, United States obviously needs Russia to get involved, preferably with Russia crossing the line and, moving some troops across the border, which allows the United States to go on with the plan which I discussed in previous videos, and that is basically cutting Europe and Russia, or better, rather cutting Europe off Russia's energy supplies, and then basically slowly strangulating European highly inefficient energy cost inefficient industry, squeezing it and killing it effectively to free there, at least for some time, the market for American goods, and maybe to get this onshore flow from the European industrialists who will be escaping basically already very tense energy cost-wise situation from Europe to the shores of the United States. That's the plan. The other plan, of course, is to basically United States needs anything to any kind of the unifying event to say, you see, those Russians are, really bad guys, and you see that those imperial things, still playing out, and we have obviously a bunch of the morons in London and who come up with, they just made shit up. I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, so this old times when we won, marveled on, through George Wells or Arthur Conan Doyle, let's say, on the beautiful mind of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. I mean, those times are gone. We have basically very uncultured and highly uneducated people running the whole routine in London, and the generation of basically, they are not normal people for the most part. I mean, they highly unaware of who they are and what Great Britain is, but, you know, UK tries to play big guy while being basically a lapdog and absolutely pipsqueak of a country. For all my love to for English culture, and come on, you know me that I'm a big rocker, you know, Pink Floyd for me stands next to Mozart or Tchaikovsky, but, and of course we all enjoy English Premier League to a degree, and there are some things to admire, but, you know, it's all in the past. I mean, it's a pipsqueak of a country with the secondary side economy, which produces some things nowadays, but it still wants to feel important by means of supporting Islamic terrorists, or, you know, so that's the way, that's how they do things there, and they invent all kinds of things, including, this time I don't remember where it came from. I believe that time it was CNN actually that invented the fact that, totally made up, I mean just absolutely pulled it out of their asses, that China asked Russia not to invade Ukraine. So it obviously immediately created the denials from both Beijing and Moscow. But again, hey, I might come up with the idea that CNN, whatever, they're all aliens. Hey, go try to debunk it. I say so. So that's what it is. It's, he said, she said. They just literally create and lie, and hey, come on. We've been through Russiagate recently, so there's everything you need to know about all that. But there was a very interesting piece today, no less by Johnny Tickle in Russia Today or RT, with the remarkable and actually very legitimate title, which says, "Why do so many people hate Russians?" And he discusses it and writes about, to better understand Moscow motives, we need to turn away from lazy xenophobia and promote genuine debate. I have news for Johnny Tickle, whom I respect greatly. The guy traveled alone, you know, through whole of Russia, and he was basically studying history of places, specific localities like Irkutsk or Krasnoyarsk, you know, and he was making... So he is a genuine journalist, and he's trying to figure this out. But the point is, we need to understand that Anglo-Saxon elites, they are not just xenophobic or Russophobic. It is racial to start with. Do not forget James Clapper, who said that we Russians, I'm ethnically Russian, so we have genetically to, you know, steal, coerce, whatever. He said that there was no reaction in the any US media or British media. Hey, it's normal to call Russians genetically inferior, so yeah. But the point is, it's the hatred of this, of Russians, is not just some kind of cultural thing. As I said, it's racial, that means they are others and they are basically inferior, but combined with the, basically aggravated by the cognitive dissonance that whenever West goes to Russia, it gets its ass handed to it. And Russians have the proverb, which is once every 100 years, the West goes to Russia to get its ass handed to it by Russians. Yeah, if you look at, you know, from 1600s, you know, Poland and West invades Russia, you know, the time of troubles, but it all ends up with, you know, Poland being evicted from Russia. Just take a look at the Minin and Pozharsky monument at the Red Square that's specifically dedicated to this event. Then, of course, we have the Sweden, we have all kinds of things. Then we have Napoleon and, you know, basically unified Europe, or, you know, the first European NATO. Invading Russia again, Napoleon loses the whole army there. Of course, French historians write that nothing really happened there. It was the frost which killed Napoleon, not Russians. Russians are inferior, you know, they're just genetic trash, basically. They cannot defeat, you know, the guy, you know, Napoleon, who is so great. So he just loses the army because of the weather. So, okay, well, then we have the European Union going back to Russia in 1941. And you know what happens? The bloodiest war in the history of humanity happens, and this time it's very difficult to really say that, oh, it was the frost which defeated Germans. Well, guess what? Russians obviously are in their trenches, in accordance to most Western so-called historians, while, let's say, Wehrmacht was freezing in their trenches in Stalingrad. Russians, in their trenches, they have those balmy 72 degrees Fahrenheit things, temperature, and it was, basically wearing the t-shirts, and there were the palm trees and buckets, standing all over the place. This is the history, how it's taught basically in Anglo-Saxon world. And yes, then you have the people who learn this history, they understand that, oh my God, and these, Axis forces, they were just defeated again by the weather. And even if they were defeated at Kursk, which was July 12th, and it was hot like hell there, because it was in the 80s and 90s, actually, the temperatures in Fahrenheit. It still doesn't matter. So, yeah, and, Russians ended up in Berlin absolutely accidentally because, Western guys, they couldn't figure out what to do right, so they defeated Russians, but, yeah, Russians, just took the Berlin after that. So, yeah, this is how it works. And that is why Tucker remarkable remarks come very handy here and very, very to the point. When I say, yeah, we have people basically in Pentagon. It lost all its wars. Don't talk, obviously, bar this TV picture show called the first Gulf War, where for the half a year, the Pentagon and coalition troops were allowed to concentrate near the borders of the, basically the state whose GDP is smaller than that of New York, and the army, which was backward. And so, but yeah, here it is. The rest of it, Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan. How many times do we have to remind it? I mean, these guys cannot win the people in the, in the turbans and armed with the AK-47s. So, and here we are. They want to move those troops and fight Russia. I don't think so. There's still not enough absolutely mad and high people in Pentagon. Albeit, yeah, we have to give it cognizance to the fact that the neocons and war hogs, most of them chicken hogs, they would basically shit their pants under the sound of the nearest shell exploding. So, and they are the ones who are running the show, and they do not understand that militarily United States is not in the position to fight anybody, let alone what they condescendingly call peer. Russia is supposedly peer of the United States militarily, but it's not the case, because basically United States, no matter how many troops it puts in, 50,000 or 500,000, it can win any kind of conventional war there. They just can't. It's the issue of much more than just technology, and Russia has a superior technology, primarily weapons, not to speak of the enablers, which are as good, if not better, than those of the United States. And that's the idea, which probably kind of, revolves, rotates somewhere on the back of the mind of many people in Pentagon, CIA, whatever, what have you, whoever runs the United States nowadays. So yes, let them deploy it if they want to. So, but for now, they realistically we're talking about 5,000 people, which is a brigade combat team size force. I don't even know what it's good for, honestly. I mean, it's good for, I don't know, destroying the town maybe, but fighting Russia, really. So that's what we have for today. So the hysteria and desire to get Russia involved will continue. It will increase even more because United States needs war. And again, there are two major factors which I already disclosed and described, but there are also the secondary, not necessarily secondary, they are less important but still very important factors which drive this whole idea. And again, do not forget, the midterms are coming this year, and something tells me that Democrats and their policies will be thrashed at the voting booth. and the polls, and that's also the major factor. So, and considering the fact that now most of the neocons, not all, but most of the neocons are the part of Democratic Party, you can definitely sense that there is a huge faction of Dems who really want war. And again, we need to always keep in mind, and I am ad nauseam on this, I am tired repeating it, but I will continue to repeat. None of those people understand what modern war is and what it implies, because they cannot even consider the fact that they might die, their families might die, their property destroyed, and things of this nature. Those people, they have no clue about. They still live in this delusion of the 20th century that the United States can sit out the war behind the two oceans and be just fine. It will not be just fine. And that's the kind of point, these are the points which I wanted to make today, talking to you, and I'm, as well, you can see yourself, I'm getting much better, so I will continue to make my videos, and I promise I will start to put on the screen the people who support me on Patreon, and I'm really grateful for you guys for doing this. So believe me, your names will be known, and I remember, I know about you. I greatly appreciate what you do. Having said all that, definitely, as always, do not forget to subscribe, and do not forget to support me on Patreon. And these are two items off the cuff, on the run, I wanted to talk about. And yes, they hate Russians. They will always hate it, because this is the only country they have never been able to conquer. And that's my closing statement for today, guys. Have a nice day, and I see you soon. Bye.